Today I'm going to be having a little play around with Ableton Live 11. Finally got my hands on the beta and I'm really excited to see all these new features. I won't actually be covering everything that is new in this update because I already got the beta a week late. There's already a million other videos showing off everything. Instead, I'll just be going through and showing you all the things that I'm actually most excited for and things that I actually think I'll use in pretty much every single song. Now, there's actually a small selection of devices that have not made it into the beta yet, which is kind of sad because I was really looking forward to checking those out, but I guess I'll just have to do a separate video with them in the future when they're finally out just because they look so amazing. But anyway, why don't we start off by jumping into the feature that I'm most excited for, no doubt about it, and that is MIDI note expression. So let's just go ahead and pull in one of the MPE compatible devices, Wavetable being one of those. Let's pick a very basic sound, that should do. Now if we go ahead and click over on this little tab here in our MIDI clip, we get some nice little controls. Now I think the best thing about this note expression tab is that you can finally add pitch bend onto separate notes. So let's say we want to bend up from 2 semitones down, we can just go like that. There, that sounds like normal, but now we can take a note up here and we can actually change this pitch bend. That was ugly, but at least you still get the picture. Now this is actually a feature that I've really wanted ever since I made music with Little Big Planet 3, surprisingly. I really loved how that handled pitch bend. You could do some really interesting chords and melodies and stuff like that. And I do know that Bitwig actually supports this type of MIDI. I've tried it out a few times and it really made me consider switching to Bitwig, but guess I don't have to anymore because we can do it at Ableton. Definitely feel like this is going to be something that I'm really going to abuse. I feel like it might get a little bit oversaturated because it is just such an interesting feature. Let's just go like that. Like you can just go absolutely crazy with this and make some insanely wacky stuff. Wouldn't say that is the best sounding thing. Luckily, I prepared one earlier. So I put together this little Wavetable Synth here. Sounds pretty boring when you just play it like a normal synthesizer, but I've actually gone in with the MIDI and I've done some pretty crazy curves. And it just makes things sound a lot more interesting. I love that. Yeah, that is so nice. I especially love that you can do vibrato and stuff on separate notes of chords. It's just such a good feature. Doesn't look the best though. It looks a bit messy. Not really sure how I feel about these insanely thin lines. But either way, that is note expression, and that is probably the best thing to come with the update, in my opinion. Now, while I'm here, this pitch actually has a whole bunch of the new devices and stuff. So we've got some of these spectral resonators, which are pretty fun to play around with. So I've got one on the left and right channel, and these are just used to add a little bit of sparkle to the sound. This is definitely my kind of thing though. I know you can do similar stuff with external plugins, so it's really good to have something built into the box so you can automate like crazy. Now the way this is actually working is it is taking the MIDI that is playing in this funky clip here, and then it's just using those notes to change the pitch of the resonator, which is, I guess, how it creates such interesting sounds. The older resonator doesn't sound this good. It actually sounds insanely bad. I don't think I've ever used it. But so if we turn off this MIDI mode, you get some pretty standard sounds. They still sound kind of usable. Definitely better than the old resonator. Very sparkly. But anyway, let's get rid of that chain there and let's move on to some other stuff we have. We've got the hybrid reverb, which is just a combination of convolution reverb and normal reverb, whatever you call it. Now, I've only played around with it for a little bit, but I'm actually a big fan of this hybrid reverb. I already liked the, where is it? This Convolution Reverb Pro. I use that quite a lot, but I always had a whole lot of errors and it was a whole lot harder to actually automate anything. So hopefully this one here isn't as broken. Hey. So it basically just emulates reflections of real life things. So you can go through some different chambers, wood rooms, and you get different textures for everything. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. You can also just throw on any sample you want and use that shape as a reverb. That doesn't sound too bad. I'm a fan. The nicest sound I've ever heard. Oh, that sounds nice with a little bit of shimmer on there. Give it a little bit of freeze. Nice. Vintage? Oh. Yeah, it's kind of hard to be excited for a reverb, so I won't spend too much time on that. And as long as it isn't as glitchy as the older one, should be fine. Now, let's move on to something else. What else is there? This thing. That's so ugly. Oh. I don't know what's going on here. Definitely good for experimental sounds though. If we switch over to something that is not a sine wave. Oh. That is wacky. Wow. Should we maybe check out the Spectral Time one? Don't actually think I've played around with this yet. Oh. Okay. Oh, sounds bubbly. Okay. Oh. Oh. I don't know what it's doing. It's kind of just stretching everything out. It sounds a lot like the Spectral Blur, which I'm already a big fan of. This just seems like it has a delay built in. It's about it, but it still sounds really cool. Okay, we've got another new device, Chorus, which actually adds in a vibrato, which is actually pretty exciting. Seems like something so basic, and I know you can recreate a vibrato kind of with a frequency shifter, but this is just so much easier. Hey, new features. Hey. That sounds pretty good though. That's a nice bit of detune. That transforms the sound a whole lot. Not bad. Yeah. Didn't think I'd ever be so excited for a chorus, but it's there. Oh. That feels really good on my ears. Now, I've also got this one here, Pitch Loop. I'm really scared to pull it in because I have no idea how this works. And also, why does it look different? Why does it look all green? I don't like that. Okay, what have we got here? What? Why don't I try put this on a drum loop? That might be a bit better. I don't know about better, but it's something. Should we try out these presets? Horrific triad. Minor triad? That is so overwhelming. Makes me feel dizzy. So it kind of seems like it just works like a granulizer. I don't get where the delay's coming from. Oh, yuck. That's an interesting rhythm. Get rid of that vibrato. What is this? I don't know if I'll ever be using Pitch Loop 89. If I'm being honest. Maybe I need to figure out how it works, but I'll use it for some stuff. Experimental stuff. I'm not going to be throwing it on any drum tracks though. Okay, so now I've just put together this little demo project here which shows off another thing that I'm actually really excited for Ableton Live 11, and that is randomness of notes. So we've got this little probability graph over here, and that just shows the probability that each note is going to play. So I've just gone ahead and thrown all these notes onto bass drums, snares, and closed hi-hats, and then the closed hi-hats also have a randomized velocity. So now if we just go ahead and pull up the probability chart over here, we can see that each different drum has its own probability of playing. So it will try to trigger one each little step along here, and then it'll just randomly play whenever it feels like based off these percentages. I'm actually a really big fan of randomness in music, so I'm really happy to see this built in. So now if we go ahead and play it, we get a random drum beat. It took so long for a snare drum to come in. But either way, I'm actually a really big fan. I'm so happy to finally see some randomness thrown directly into the MIDI. It's good. Now, also on this chain, I've gone ahead and added on a whole bunch of the new devices. So we've got a spectral resonator, which is actually playing the MIDI from this other MIDI channel over here, which I've just gone ahead and thrown all these notes on here, and they all have a random chance of playing. So it is essentially just throwing random MIDI notes into the spectral resonator, which is going to play notes whenever a drum plays, which actually ends up making some really interesting stuff. I'm vibing. Might not sound the best rhythmically, but still interesting. I actually really like the sound that the spectral resonator adds on as well. You can also mix it up just by changing this decay knob. Make it stabbier. So unpredictable. Get some robo sounds. I still love it though. I'm going to actually go ahead and play the Wavetable Synth on top. So we've got 2 layers of random notes. I think this one here is just random sound. Yeah, just somewhere between a sine wave and a triangle wave. Robot music. Doesn't sound bad though. I can listen to this. This is just way too much fun to listen to. It's always new. Let's go ahead and throw another layer on. We'll pitch this one up. Oh. That sounds pretty cool. But there we go. That is randomness using probability. I'm a big fan of this. Not necessarily the song, but just the feature in general. I think I'll definitely use the velocity probability a lot more than I'll be using the note hit probability, just because it'll be good for things like hi-hats and all these different filler sounds. But either way, it's really good to finally have something like that. But anyway, I think that's actually going to do it for my quick little look at all of the new Ableton Live 11 features, which I am most excited for, and ones that I actually think I'll be using all the time. Now, there is still a whole bunch of new features which I didn't look at today. Stuff like comping, which allows you to loop record, so you can just go through and choose your favorite takes. But to be honest, I personally don't think I'll be using that too much, so I didn't bother looking at it today, but it is still really good to finally see it. And I'll probably be going more in depth with all these new features and stuff like that in the future. I kind of just wanted to keep things quick just so I could show off everything that I'm really excited for. Now, I'm probably going to be using this Ableton Live 11 beta as my main music maker for my videos until the final thing is released. It's a little bit risky, but I feel like that's just the best way to get comfortable with everything, and you can actually see how everything can be used in real life situations rather than just little demos. And like I said at the start, there is still a few devices which are actually missing from the beta at the moment. The main one being the Inspired by Nature series, which consists of some of the most unique plugins that I've ever seen, and I definitely know I'll be abusing them to the max. I'll be using them in pretty much everything. They just look so good. So yeah, I'll probably post a separate video of those when they're finally out. But anyway, I think that's actually going to wrap it up for this video, so I'll see all of you in the next couple of days for my next upload. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.